Where is Rose? Busy, as usual, with her mice and beetles, I think, father, answered Ethel. We have not seen her all afternoon. She will probably be with you at tea time, said Dr. Sinclair. After tea, please ask her to come to me in the surgery. Okay, father, I will remember. Dr. Sinclair went back to his surgery, which was also his library. He knew his helper would come there. I do not understand, said Maud, Ethel's sister. What does Rose find interesting in those ugly animals, beetles and toads, and even snakes when she can find one? The other day I saw her holding a slowworm like it was a cute pet. It made me feel cold. Well, everyone likes different things. Rose never cares if she is invited to a party or not, said Ethel. And she likes to help father with his work, which I always find boring because he is so very careful about it. Maybe biologists are different from other people. Sometimes I think there is something strange and unusual about them. I'm sure Rose is not strange or unusual. She is just great, said Jack, a schoolboy of 14. He was enjoying a Saturday half-holiday at home with a new book because it was too wet to play cricket. She always wants to help people. Which means, said Ethel, that you always want girls to work for you when you are at home. At this moment, the door opened and Rose came in. Well, Rose, said Maud, have you pinned out a beetle or taught your pet ants to do tricks? Not this afternoon, said Rose. I have had a fun time with my microscope, studying spiders and drawing slides for the magic lantern. I will use them at my next little lecture to the GFS girls. That sounds boring, yawned Maud. Here comes tea. By the way, father wants you to go to his study after tea. Poor Rose. I think he has more boring work for you. Oh, don't call it boring, Maud dear. I really like it. It's good that you do. I hate being in there. It's so dull. A quarter of an hour later, a middle-aged man with snow-white hair, which made him look older than he really was busy with a manuscript. A fair girl sat beside him, reading his notes. They worked together perfectly. Rose's father had been the rector of a small country parish in Cornwall. Many of his friends said he should not be in such a place and that it was a shame for a smart man to be there. But Mr. Sinclair never complained. He might have thought it strange that other men got better jobs he could have done, but since he was in that Cornish village, he put all his effort into his work. The rough fisher folk loved him and saw him as the father of the parish. He knew their joys and sorrows, and this love meant as much to him as any big success in the world. His money was small, too small for his kind heart. He wanted to give his 2 children, Henry and Rose, the best education he could. He spent a lot of time teaching them. For many years, he taught both the boy and girl together, and Rose learned the same lessons as her brother. This made her very accurate in any task she did, a quality often missing in girls' work. Mr. Sinclair was a good student of natural history and wrote books and magazine articles that people liked. Rose tried to follow her father's interests. She spent hours reading about birds and butterflies and doing little studies herself. One of her greatest joys was helping her father by taking notes or writing what he said. She hoped one day to earn money by writing for biology papers or even giving lectures. But the happy home life in the Cornish rectory ended too quickly. Rose lost both her parents within a short time. Her brother was at Oxford, studying hard, and Rose was left alone. She had to leave the home she loved so much. Her uncle, Dr. Sinclair, who was like second father for her, offered her a home in his house right away. He did not listen to people who warned him that taking care of another girl would be a burden because his own money was not much and his family needed a lot from him. He was a doctor who could have had a brilliant career in London, but his sick wife said she could only live in the clean country air. So he had sadly given up his dream of working as a London doctor and had moved near a small country town in Gloucestershire. He soon got most of the patients in the area, but his work was limited. He still kept in touch with his profession, doing different scientific studies in his laboratory. He wrote about them in clear articles for medical papers. For this work, a patient helper was very useful. His own daughters did not like the work and did not help him, but Rose enjoyed it. It made her feel like she was still helping her father. Between uncle and niece, a silent understanding grew. He encouraged her in her natural history interests and helped her start the lectures she gave to the GFS girls in the neighborhood. At first, it seemed like the girls would not be interested, but Rose was so clear and interesting that the girls soon looked forward to them. Time passed this way until something happened that changed Rose's situation again. Sometimes small things can be very important. One morning, a letter came with an announcement about University Extension lectures in C, their nearest town. A professor from Oxford would give the lectures about spiders with notes from the microscope. When Dr. Sinclair read it, he smiled kindly and gave it to Rose. "This is not for me," he said, "but I think someone might like it." "Oh, Uncle!" "How wonderful," said Rose when she saw it. "I would love to go." So Rose went to the lectures. She enjoyed them very much and took careful notes. At the end of the course, the lecturer said he would like the students who were interested to write a paper. They should give a summary of the lectures and ask any questions they had. Rose and several others wrote their papers. For some time, Rose did not hear anything more about it. But one morning, she got a surprise letter. "Dear Madam, I have enjoyed reading your paper, which I return with a few notes and answers to your questions. It shows me how interested you are in my lectures. It may interest you to know that there will be an exam for a scholarship at St. Margaret's Hall, the new college for women, soon at Oxford. If you want to study more about the subject, I suggest you try for it. I cannot promise you will succeed, but I think it is worth trying. A friend of mine, a lady living in Oxford, takes lady students recommended by me and would make you comfortable at a very low cost. Yours truly, B. Fielding." Rose read the letter 2 or 3 times and then gave it to her uncle. Could she afford to go there? If she could only get the scholarship, how wonderful it would be. "Come to my study," said Dr. Sinclair. As soon as the door was closed, he said kindly, "I don't want you to miss this chance, dear child. So write and tell Mr. Fielding you will go to Oxford if he will introduce you to the lady he mentioned." "Oh, but Uncle," she said, "what Mr. Fielding calls moderate terms might still be too much for me." "Don't worry, little Rose," said Dr. Sinclair. I plan to give my kind little helper a birthday present, and this will be it. Dear uncle, how kind of you. But remember, any help I gave you was always a pleasure for me. And so, dear, is anything I do for you. So it was settled, and a few days later, Dr. Sinclair went to his beloved Oxford with his niece. Jack and Maud went to the station to see them off. Stay brave, Rose, said Jack. You're sure to pass, because if any girl in England knows about creepy-crawly things, it's you. When Rose came back a few days later, she looked tired and pale. Ethel and Maud were surprised that she didn't look at her microscope or her beetles and tadpoles. Instead, she did nothing except help them fix their evening dresses for some upcoming dances. They were surprised to see how well a biologist could sew. One Saturday, as the three girls were sitting and working together, Jack, who was spending his half-holiday at home again, said, "Why, here comes the telegraph boy." "Run and see who it is for," said Ethel, who had lately shown much more interest in Rose. She began to realize that if Rose got what she wanted so much, she, and others too, might miss the cousin who had been so kind and unselfish in their home. "Run and see, Jack, and if it is for any of us, bring it here." Rose looked very pale, but did not look up from her work. "It's addressed to Miss Rose Sinclair," said Jack, who soon came back. Rose took the telegram with shaking fingers and then opened it. It said, "Rose Sinclair passed first. Awarded scholarship to St. Margaret's for 3 years." "Oh, Ethel," said Rose, "it is too good to be true." "I knew you would pass," said Jack. "I always said you would, didn't I?" "Well," said Ethel, "we should be very happy for you." "Yes," said Maud, "congratulations, Rose, but I am very, very sad you are going away." "Are you, dear?" said Rose. "I will also feel lonely without all of you. This is my second home. But let us go and tell Uncle, because I consider this his special birthday gift to me." "So it is," said Dr. Sinclair, who came in at that moment. "Then your old uncle is very happy to send his niece to Oxford, but he will miss his little girl very much." Rose did even better than Jack expected. After she finished her college course, she spent her time giving lectures, for which she was paid. She also wrote articles for magazines, and she ended up living in Oxford. Whenever Dr. Sinclair wants a very nice holiday, he goes to spend a few days with Rose. They talk about their work. When he says how happy he is about her success, Rose likes to remind him that she owes it greatly to his kindness. The birthday gift was very helpful to her,